Hello again, everyone. Aber here with another Mission Impossible episode review. This time I am reviewing Season 3, Episode 8, which is called The Diplomat. So Jim goes to a red box, apparently at the zoo, for instructions here. The mission is this. Important information about U.S. defense capabilities has fallen into enemy hands, and it's in the process of being confirmed by an agent named Roger Toland. The IMF must make the enemy's ambassador Yetkov believe that the information is false. We get a dossier scene again this time because the men are joined by a Dr. Walters, as well as Presidential Advisor Everett Buchanan and his wife Susan. The team discusses some of their techniques as usual without telling us too much, and we're told that Toland has killed at least 2 women through an overdose of barbiturates in his quest for information. So there is some risk involved to Susan, but she's a brave woman and trudges on with the mission. Yetkov and his assistant Grigor discuss the information and its importance with Toland, who tells Yetkov that so far the U.S. has not made any official moves regarding the stolen information, so he's going to have to try through some of his unofficial channels. Officer Barney pulls over trucker Willie near Yetkov's diplomatic car, giving Willie the chance to put a tablet in the gas tank. Phone repairman Jim pulls up next, with Grigor a bit suspicious as no call for repair was placed, but allows Jim to check things out under his watchful eye. Rollin shows up as a photographer at a Washington social event where Toland and the Buchanans are also attending. Everett is called away to the White House, as often happens, to Susan's dismay. Rollin asks Susan to take a picture with Toland, but she softly tells him that she already warned him to stay away from her, and they exchange uneasy looks as Rollin leaves. Susan talks to Toland and tells him that, she didn't mean to brush him off. She was just agitated because of Rollin and his nosiness. They sit and chat for a while about her husband's job, makes her so lonely. Jim sneaks towards Yetkov's office as part of his phone work, with Grigor angrily coming up behind him with a gun. Yetkov allows him in, and Jim says he was part of the spy group who passed the defense information, and provides information to help confirm that he is actually one of their agents and on the level. And working for the phone company is his cover in the United States. Yetkov tells him that his information will be validated and he'll be contacted tomorrow at 5:30. Just a side note, was anyone else hoping and wishing that there'd be another Peter Graves versus Sid Haig face-off? Those two always seem to have this thing every time Sid Haig guest stars. Anyway. Yetkov's car is taken to a mechanic Barney, who says it'll be ready in the morning. Barney and Willie get to work on the car, putting in a hidden canister and creating a compartment for Barney to hide in. Susan brings Toland back to her place for a bit, and Rollin shows up demanding his blackmail money. Apparently he caught her during an affair in Paris. Susan opens her safe, revealing a red phone and phone book, which immediately catches Toland's attention, and laments to Toland that she can't get enough cash to buy the negatives back from Rollin without raising her husband's suspicions. Toland heads out as Susan takes a couple of somas to help her sleep. Toland confronts Rollin about the negatives, smacking him and giving him a one-time offer of $10,000 for everything he has on Susan. Toland gets the money from Yetkov, saying he's confident that he'll get Susan to open the safe and get at the book. The diplomatic car picks up an agent the next morning from the airport, and on the way to the airport, Barney lets the anesthetic gas out. While the agent sleeps, and he swaps out some of the information in the briefcase, which validates Jim as an agent. Rollin is deceptive while handing Toland the information, forcing Toland to get violent. Rollin tries to make a break for it, but falls into a tripod stand and impales himself. But, of course, that's just a setup, an elaborate gadget, and Rollin is fine. Yetkov looks at the information, which at first glance looks good and validates Jim, but he finds evidence of tampering with a improper watermark and also scratches on the lock. So the car is inspected and the secret compartment is found. And this is considered proof positive that phone repairman Jim is actually an American agent, because why else would they go through so much trouble? Yetkov and Grigor meet Jim, who tells Yetkov that he was assigned to find phone numbers for 4 senior generals, and is in the process of narrowing down their locations in the country. Yetkov lets him go, explaining to Grigor that this way they'll figure out what the U.S. wants them to believe. Toland gives Susan the blackmail items, which she burns, and is very, very grateful. The IMF is outside in a van listening to them talk. Toland asks for something he can use for collateral for the loan he had to take to pay off Roland. Susan opens the safe and Toland immediately grabs a phone book, smacking Susan and then reaching for the bottle of somas, which he dissolves and crushes in water and then forces it down her throat, making sure her fingerprints are on the glass to make it look like a suicide attempt. As Susan feels the effects of the pills and starts moving woozily around the room, Toland starts taking pictures of the phone book. Susan manages to reach the phone but falls to the ground. Toland finally finishes and puts the book back in the safe, checking on Susan one last time to make sure she's actually going out, and leaves. The IMF, including Dr. Walters, rush up after hearing the door close, and then they rush into the strangely open door. Big continuity oversight there. And the doctor says that Susan will be okay. I guess he'll pump her stomach or something. The information Toland finds jives perfectly with what Yetkov already knows, and Jim arrives to speak to Yetkov with Toland out of the room. He gives Yetkov the information he found on where the 4 key generals are stationed. Grigor is about to say something, but Yetkov hushes him, paying Jim off. Toland is brought back in, and is shown that Jim's information also jives with what Toland found. Toland at first believes this is good news, but Yetkov explains why it isn't.
But I too verify it.
Then you too are an American agent.
Toland is shot as Jim leaves the embassy with the rest of the IMF. Mission accomplished. I'm going to give this episode a grade of an A-. When I first watched it, I remember I did not like it very much at all. The smarm that came across from Fernando Lamas as Roger Toland really bothered me, I think, and it was tough for me to get past that. When I watched it back again, then I saw that, wait a minute, there's a lot of really, really good stuff here. I will say that the guest stars, Lamas, Lee Grant, Alfred Ryder, and Sid Haig comes back again. That's a really, really, really strong supporting cast. Alfred Ryder is one of those guys that, you know, his roles generally in the show are not flashy, but whenever he's there, you have a good episode. I don't know why. I don't, again, correlation is not causation. I don't know whether he directly causes it, but he always seems to be in these above average episodes. A nice touch here is, I like what the writers did. With Barbara Bain not being available for this episode, from the dossier I read that there was actually a salary dispute, which kept her away from this episode. It actually makes sense. And it's really great that the writers kind of went with this script and this plot, given that Barbara was not available. Because had she been, they would have had to have shoehorned her into this plot, and it wouldn't have worked. Roger Toland, you know, he's a guy who's, you know, well connected, well known around Washington. You know, the plot required the use of somebody like the character of Susan Buchanan, who's married to a presidential aide. She's known in Washington circles. And that's the only way that it makes sense. Interjecting somebody from the IMF into that role, it wouldn't have worked. It just could have never happened. You know, even if they had tried, even if they had tried to explain it, they would have had to do something very, very contrived, or it would have raised red flags with Roger Toland. Yeah, it just wouldn't have worked. So it's a really, really nice touch to use this plot specifically with a different character. I like the teamwork. It's okay. It's not really a Power of 5 episode. I'll get to that in a little bit. One other thing that's really, really good, the plot and the twists of the plot. Oftentimes when we have spy stories, not so much in this show, but in a lot of shows, and it does happen here as well, there's a whole lot of, you know, dialogue about, well, I know you know what's going on, and I know you know that I know what's going on, and, you know, we have to do this because this is what's going to happen. And there's a lot of this kind of expository dialogue, which a lot of the times is just padding. In this case, it isn't so much. It really kind of makes sense. Because even though, there is all this extra dialogue, it's important. it makes sense, for example, after Yetkov, Alfred Ryder's character, meets Jim in the park, he explains to Grigor, why are you letting him go? He's an American agent. And Yetkov explains, well, I know he's an American agent, but I want to know what the Americans want me to know. And it makes sense for him to say that, right? Because Grigor might not have picked up on it right away, and neither would maybe the audience didn't pick up on it right away. So that actually helps us in a way that is not detrimental to the plot, and it doesn't treat the viewers as stupid either, which unfortunately happens a lot when you get that sort of expository dialogue in an episode. So again, a really, really nice touch here. Things I didn't like so much, again, the teamwork is nice, could have been better. Barney and Willie are kind of relegated to just doing the usual, mechanical stuff, and Willie is just basically there, for his muscles. I wish there could have been more there. The focus of the episode is very, very heavily on Susan Buchanan, Lee Graham. And so that's a little bit of a detriment to the episode, and that's why I kind of put it more in the A- category, despite it being a very, very excellent plot and a very sensible one at that. The only other thing I would say that puts it down from an A to an A- is, again, the one-dimensionality, I would call it, of Susan Buchanan's role. All she has to do is basically just be this damsel in distress. And there really is nothing more to her character. And I can't help but feel that I wish there had just been something a little bit more there. I just wish that had been the case. I don't know how it could have been done, but I just wish it could have been done. Anyway, that's my review for this one. Thank you all for watching. Please like this episode. Please subscribe to my channel, and please leave your comments. Thank you again. I'll see you next time.